Tom had always been proud of his little ranch. It wasn't much, just a stretch of dry land with a handful of cattle, a small barn, and a wooden house that had seen better days, but it had been in his family for generations. Every morning, even before the sun rose, he would be up, boots on, feeding the cows, checking the fences, and making sure nothing was out of place. It was hard work, but Tom liked it. There was a sense of peace in the routine, in the smell of fresh hay, and the sound of the wind rustling through the trees. Still, lately, the peace had been slipping away. Money had been tight for a while now. Prices for feed and supplies were rising, and the small income from selling milk and a few calves barely covered the bills. On top of that, Tom had fallen behind on his rent. He rented the land from a local landowner, and the past few months had left him scrambling to make ends meet. Letters and notices piled up on his kitchen table, each one a reminder that the future of his ranch was uncertain. Tom tried not to think about it too much. He focused on what he could control: the fences that needed fixing, the cows that needed feeding, the roof that was starting to leak. But even as he worked, worry gnawed at the back of his mind. What if he couldn't pay the rent? What would happen to the ranch? Would he have to leave the land his family had worked for so long? One morning, as Tom was mending a fence along the northern pasture, he heard the sound of heavy boots on the gravel. Looking up, he saw her. She was a giant of a woman, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and a long coat that flapped slightly in the wind. Her boots were tall and polished, her presence commanding. This was Lola, the landowner. Everyone in town talked about her, but few had ever actually seen her in person. Stories made her out to be larger than life. And now she was standing right in front of him. "So," Lola said, her voice deep and steady, "you're behind on your rent." Tom felt his stomach tighten. He had expected someone to come by eventually, but he hadn't expected her Lola herself. He nodded quickly. "Yes, ma'am. I know. I'm working on it." Lola didn't smile. She walked slowly, inspecting the land, her eyes sharp and assessing. "This ranch needs a lot of work," she said, pointing at a section of fence that was leaning badly. "And if you can't keep up, I can't keep letting you stay here." Tom swallowed hard. "I've been fixing it as fast as I can. It's been a tough season, but I'm not giving up." Lola raised an eyebrow, her gaze sharp. "I don't want excuses, Tom. I want results. Can you pay the rent soon?" Tom hesitated. He wanted to tell her that he was doing his best, but the words caught in his throat. How could he explain the endless hours of work, the extra jobs he had taken in town, or the ways he had been trying to save money? He simply nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I'll figure it out." Lola's eyes softened for a moment, though her tone remained firm. "I hope so. I like seeing a rancher who works hard. But hard work alone isn't always enough." She spent the morning walking the property, pointing out areas that needed attention. The barn roof had a few loose shingles. The water trough needed cleaning. One of the gates had a broken hinge. Tom listened carefully, taking notes in his head as he worked alongside her. Even though she was strict, he realized she knew what she was talking about. Every suggestion was practical. Every comment meant to make the ranch better. By midday, Lola had finished her inspection. She turned to Tom, her large frame casting a long shadow across the yard. "I'm giving you until the end of the month to get the rent paid and the repairs done. If you can't, I'll have to find someone else to take care of this land." Tom nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He watched as she climbed onto her horse and rode away, the wind catching her coat dramatically. When she was gone, the ranch felt strangely quiet, almost empty. He ran a hand over his face and let out a deep sigh. The rest of the day, Tom worked tirelessly. He repaired the fences, cleaned the troughs, and patched the barn roof. Each task reminded him of the challenge he faced, but also of why he loved this life. Despite the worry, there was satisfaction in seeing the progress he was making, even if it was slow. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Tom sat on the porch of his house, looking over his land. The cows were settled, the fences mostly repaired, and the barn stood firm against the fading light. Still, the rent deadline loomed over him like a dark cloud. He knew he had to find a solution, and fast. He thought about the town, the people he knew, and the jobs he could take to earn extra money. Maybe he could sell a calf or two, or take on some extra work from neighbors. Every idea required effort and sacrifice. But Tom was ready. Giving up wasn't an option. The ranch meant too much to him. As he sat there, lost in thought, a small smile crept across his face. He remembered what his father used to say. A rancher's strength isn't just in his hands. It's in his heart and his mind. Tom realized that he had both, and he wasn't going to let a missed rent payment take everything away. By the time the stars filled the sky, Tom had made a plan. He would work harder than ever, reach out to neighbors, and find every possible way to raise the money. Lola had given him a challenge, and though it was daunting, he felt a spark of determination. He wasn't just fighting for the rent, he was fighting for his family's legacy, for the life he loved, and for the pride that came with keeping the ranch alive. The night was calm, the ranch quiet. But Tom's mind was busy. He thought about the cows, the fences, and the barn, but also about the path ahead. It wouldn't be easy. There would be setbacks, mistakes, and moments of doubt. But for the first time in weeks, he felt ready. He had work to do, plans to make, and a promise to keep, not just to Lola, but to himself. As he went to bed that night, he pictured Lola standing on her horse, looking over the land. Her words echoed in his mind. Hard work alone isn't always enough. Tom understood that. Hard work was important. But now, he had to combine it with clever thinking, determination, and maybe a little help from the people around him. He fell asleep with a sense of purpose. Tomorrow would be another long day on the ranch, another chance to make progress, and another step towards saving the place he loved. The challenge was big, and the clock was ticking. But Tom knew he had the heart of a rancher, and as long as he did, there was hope. The next morning, he woke early as usual, ready to face the day. There was work to do, fences to repair, and a rent deadline approaching faster than he liked. But he wasn't afraid. He had a plan, determination, and a stubborn streak that wouldn't let him fail. Whatever the future held, he would meet it head-on, one hard day at a time. The next morning, Tom woke before the sun, the sound of birds and the gentle breeze through the trees filling the air. Today, he decided, nothing would stop him. He had a plan, and he intended to follow it, no matter how hard it might be. He fed the cows quickly, checking each one for signs of illness or injury, and made sure the water troughs were full. Every task he did reminded him why he loved the ranch and why he could not let it go. After the morning chores, Tom walked to the town. He had decided to take extra work wherever he could find it. He stopped by the general store and offered to help carry supplies for the elderly shopkeeper. He helped repair a fence for a neighbor who was going on a trip. Every small job earned him a little money and, more importantly, the goodwill of the community. People were willing to help if they saw he was genuinely trying. Back at the ranch in the afternoon, Tom focused on repairs. He patched the broken gate, replaced loose boards in the barn, and repaired a section of fence that had fallen during the last storm. Sweat ran down his face, but he did not stop. Every nail he hammered and every board he replaced brought him closer to his goal, keeping the ranch and proving to Lola that he was committed. Later in the week, Lola returned. Tom saw her coming from a distance, her tall figure visible against the bright sky. His heart sank a little, remembering their last meeting, but he squared his shoulders, ready to show her the work he had done. Lola rode up to the barn, dismounted, and surveyed the area carefully. She examined the fences, the barn, and the water troughs. Tom watched, nervously, hoping that his efforts were enough. After a few moments, she turned to him, her face serious, but not unkind. "I see you've been busy," she said. "Good. But it's not finished yet, is it?" "No, ma'am," Tom admitted. "There's still work to do, but I'm getting there. I'm also figuring out how to cover the rent by the end of the month." Lola nodded, her eyes sharp but approving. "I like that attitude. You're not giving up. That's important." She paused and added, "I'll tell you something, Tom. Running a ranch isn't just about fixing fences or feeding cows. It's about solving problems, finding ways when the easy way is gone, and never quitting. That's what separates someone who survives from someone who fails." Tom took her words to heart. He realized that she was not just a landowner. She was someone who understood the struggles of life on a ranch. Her presence had been intimidating at first, but now he saw her as a mentor of sorts, someone who could push him to do better. Over the next few days, Tom worked harder than ever. He took more jobs in town, from helping repair barns to loading hay for other ranchers. Every extra dollar he earned went straight toward the rent. At night, he stayed up late, counting every penny and making a plan for the next day. It was exhausting work, but Tom felt a sense of pride. He was doing everything he could to save his ranch. One afternoon, a sudden storm hit. Heavy rain poured down, and strong winds knocked over part of the fence he had just repaired. A cow wandered out of the pasture, and Tom had to run through the mud and rain to bring it back. It was a frightening moment, but he managed to guide the animal safely back into the fenced area. Soaked and tired, he looked at the damage and felt a moment of despair. But then, he remembered Lola's words about never quitting. He took a deep breath and began fixing the fence again. By the following week, Tom had made significant progress. He had repaired most of the fences, cleaned the barn, and made sure the livestock were safe and healthy. He had also saved enough money to cover part of the rent. He still had a little way to go, but he was confident he could make it in time. Lola returned one evening to inspect the ranch. This time, she did not ride in alone. A few neighbors had come with her, curious to see the ranch and the progress Tom had made. Tom felt nervous but also proud. He walked her through the property, showing her the repaired fences, the clean barn, and the healthy cattle. Lola looked around carefully, then turned to Tom. "I see you've worked hard. You've faced challenges and setbacks, yet you've kept going. That shows character." She smiled slightly. "A rare sight. I think you'll make it." Tom felt a wave of relief. He knew he still had a little way to go, but Lola's acknowledgement gave him hope, and her respect mattered to him. In the following days, Tom focused on the final steps. He sold a few calves to neighbors, earned extra money by helping repair other farms, and carefully budgeted every dollar. Each task was tiring, but he reminded himself why he was doing it: to save his ranch and prove that hard work and persistence could overcome even the toughest challenges. The day before the rent was due, Tom had managed to save enough money. He counted the bills carefully, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. It had been a long, exhausting month, but he had done it. He had met the challenge head-on and succeeded. The next morning, he went to Lola's office to pay the rent. She looked up as he entered, her expression serious but curious. Tom handed her the money, explaining how he had managed to save it. Lola listened carefully, then nodded. "You've done well, Tom. Not everyone could have done what you did. You've proven yourself, and more importantly, you've shown that you care about this land and your work." Tom felt a surge of pride. "Thank you, ma'am. I couldn't have done it without the support of my neighbors and a clear goal to keep this ranch alive." Lola smiled, a little wider this time. "Keep working like this, and you won't have to worry about rent again. But remember, The lesson isn't just about money. It's about persistence, responsibility, and the pride that comes from doing your best, no matter the challenge. After paying the rent, Tom walked back to the ranch. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and the air was warm. He looked around at the land, the fences, and the cattle, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. The ranch was still his, safe for now. And he had learned an important lesson about determination, planning, and the value of hard work. That evening, Tom sat on the porch, looking out over the fields. He thought about the challenges he had faced, the storms he had weathered, and the long hours of work. But more than anything, he thought about what he had accomplished. He had faced a serious threat to his livelihood and had overcome it through hard work, perseverance, and clever thinking. He knew more challenges would come, and life on a ranch was never easy. But Tom also knew he was stronger than any obstacle. He had faced hardship and had found a way to succeed. He had learned to respect those who guided him, like Lola, and to rely on his own determination and the support of the community around him. As the stars appeared in the sky, Tom felt a sense of peace. The ranch was safe, the rent was paid, and he had proven to himself that he could meet any challenge if he stayed focused and worked hard. He made a quiet promise to continue caring for the land, respecting the animals, and facing whatever challenges came his way with courage and persistence. For the first time in weeks, Tom felt completely hopeful about the future. The giant cowgirl, Lola, had been a strict teacher, but her lessons had been invaluable. He had learned that life was about effort, resilience, and never giving up, even when the odds seemed impossible. And as he looked over the ranch, he knew that his home, his work, and his dreams were safe in his hands for now and for the future.